All right, we had a chance on the show last week to talk about the Stewart-Haas situation as they're going to be shutting the doors at the end of the week. Now that we've had kind of a week to digest and see what's going on, one of the things that we think we know right now, Kelly, is this Front Row. Sounds like they've announced that they're getting one of the charters. The speculation has been that Trackhouse is going to get one and that 2311 is going to get one. What do we think is going to happen with the fourth one?
That one's
Kelly Crandall's getting it.
Yeah.
Everybody gets one.
Well, if there's no charters after this year, I guess I could have one, right?
Yeah.
Because I
and
wouldn't.
that hasn't been decided yet.
The fourth one seems to be the one that is confusing or just unknown right now. It seems like it changes depending on who you ask. So it might be on the market. Maybe it stays somehow within the company. Maybe a Custer, right? Like a Joe Custer or somebody. So I don't know. That I've heard so many different combinations of what might happen to that fourth charter. The other ones, as you said, 2311, Trackhouse, Front Row didn't say who they bought their charter from, but 2 and 2 is 4, right? They announced that they have a third charter right after Stewart-Haas says that they're going out of business. So I think 3 of them are accounted for. I'm going to be really fascinated to see where that fourth one goes because I don't know if that one is settled yet. I really don't. I think that one could be up in the air. Because I think that there's still some work to be done of what happens to, again, the Custer side of things, right? Like Joe Custer is heavily involved in Stewart-Haas Racing. So if Gene Haas and Tony Stewart are going away, like, what does he want to do, right? Because you still have Cole and you still have those Xfinity teams. Like, what's going to happen to them? So I think that there's still a lot of questions that we don't have answers to with that.
Well, the first question is, are there going to be charters? Because the deal has not been done with NASCAR yet, Deb.
No, it has not. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people are forgetting. And as we all know, the holdup was the fact that the team owners wanted them for perpetuity and NASCAR didn't want that. So we're hearing all different types of things as to what the charter agreement that NASCAR has given the teams has in it and whether or not team owners are going to accept it. So, that's another thing I think everyone forgets is the current charter system runs out at the end of the year.
So it's hard I can't imagine that it's easy to sell charters when people don't know what the future of charters is or what the value, because you don't know what the future is, what the value is.
Yeah, I think there's 2 approaches there. I think, like you said, there, why is somebody going to step up and buy something that you don't know what the value is right now, or you don't know if they're going to be there at the end of the year, or on the flip side of that, if Tony and Gene are trying to get rid of them, are they just going to try to just get what they can get right now just to unload them and be done with it? So, we're clearly thinking that's what happened with Front Row, right? They must have made an offer or something happened. The price was right somewhere for that charter. What we're assuming, that one charter is going to Front Row. But yeah, I was shocked that we had that announcement come from Front Row because I thought for sure we would have no charter movement until the charter agreement with NASCAR part of it was done and over with, because that's what I was hearing, and that just seems to be common sense, right? Why would you do business deals when you don't have a big piece of that puzzle yet finalized? So for Front Row to kind of jump on it, they must have, again, the price must have been right, or clearly it worked out in their favor. So who knows? I mean, whatever it is that Tony and Gene if they're just trying to unload them, maybe that works to their advantage before this agreement gets signed. Or, 2311 Trackhouse and whoever else are going to wait and be like, well, why spend money on something? And technically there are no charters right now. So why spend money? Why go through the process?
Well, I have a suspicion on that. I don't, you've got 4 Ford charters right now.
Right.
I can't see Ford wanting all of those charters to go to Chevrolet and Toyota teams. My suspicion, I have no fact, this is just theory on my part, is that Ford stepped in there and told Front Row, we will make sure you get one of those charters if you want it. And I think Ford is taking care of at least one charter so they don't lose all four charters there. But because I think the last thing Ford wants to happen is to see those 4 charters go to Chevrolet and Toyota teams.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can see that happen. I can see that absolutely happening. Well, the thing is, what about the drivers? We know that, Barry, and you got, Gregson, and you got Priest, and
Briscoe.
Yeah, Briscoe. So where are we hearing that these guys are going to land?
So Michael McDowell going to Spire means that 71 is going to become a full-fledged Spire Motorsports effort. So they're right now working on that piece of the puzzle at Spire of they need the personnel, they need everything that goes into having that team. So McDowell leaves Front Row, as you said. So we expect 2 seats. I would be shocked if Gilliland didn't get another year there. I personally, I think he's doing a heck of a job in that 38 car. I think he's really come a long way in the last 2 years. So there's 2 seats right there, right? But we also don't know, like, there's probably other contracts out there that you always have to watch, right? Like Harrison Burton and the Wood brothers. You never know what they're going to do from a year-to-year basis, right? We don't know what Martin Truex Jr. is doing from a year-to-year basis at this point.
I don't think he knows.
He doesn't know. Now, you would think that maybe Joe and Toyota have their people that they have in the pipeline, but things change, right? So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces right now. I can't really say that I've heard for sure of where the Stewart-Haas drivers are going to end up, but I would hope and I would think that all of them or people that work for them, managers, agents, whoever, they've got to be on the phone every week, every single week, right? Like you've got to be in the garage or on the phone trying to see what is even open out there, because you think Front Row and maybe Wood Brothers, but is there something else? Whose contracts are up? Who's going to be shuffling around and moving around? So I haven't yet heard conclusively or, with any real substance of any of the Stewart-Haas drivers going anywhere. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that shakes out.
Well, you look, Deb, because, Trackhouse, we know they've got, Van Gisbergen, they've got, Zane Smith. So they've got, if they're getting one more charter, they still have more drivers, more than they have seats. We don't know what the plan is for 2311 if they add a seat. So there's an open seat there. Kelly talked about the Wood brothers. So I mean, there are a lot of pieces here, and has Cole Custer earned another shot at Cup Series?
That's a good question. And to kind of follow up to what Kelly was saying and you were asking, I thought it was interesting that Josh Berry has said that he and Rodney Childers are marketing themselves as going together to a team, and they would like to take their entire crew. So if somebody was looking to just pick up an entire team and plug it in place, they can do that with Josh Berry and Rodney Childers and the crew people that are on that team. Cole Custer, I'm sure now that he has that Xfinity Series championship under his belt, he would like to come back and feels that he does deserve another shot at Cup. So it's, we don't know what Joe Custer's going to do. We don't know what, you just assume that Stewart-Haas shutting down included the Xfinity team. Well, it may not include the Xfinity team. And, that building is there. And is Gene Haas going to continue in Formula One? Because the Formula One headquarters is right beside the Stewart-Haas Racing building. So until we get a little more say, and people are probably wondering, well, why do you announce it this early? Well, you announce it this early for 2 reasons. One is to give people time to find jobs. The second reason is a lot of these corporate sponsors have physical years that go from July 1 to June 30th. So they've got to be planning too. You've got to give them a heads up to where if they want to go somewhere else, they can go. So the moving parts right now would make someone dizzy.